Tesla founder and CEO Elon Musk has just released a fully performing AI robot. The robot was displayed during the Tesla AI Day, a yearly event that the company displays the most exciting tech they are working on. What does the Tesla humanoid robot look like? What is its potential? What impact will it have in the factories and at home? Join me today in this video where we shall explore how Elon Musk just released a fully performing AI robot. Tesla has proved itself to be no ordinary automobile company. Besides making their vehicles fully electric, the company has fitted them with unique autopiloting capabilities that enables you to drive around without touching the wheel. That might sound somewhat impossible given the complexity of this kind of technology demands, but that is it. Tesla has been investing time, resources, and manpower to develop an autopiloting system that will not simply be your co-driver, but your driver indeed. Although Tesla cars haven't yet been allowed to drive independently, that very idea of a self-driving car or robot on four wheels, fitly so called, has also given birth to another idea, the humanoid robot project. Launched during the first Tesla AI Day last year, the humanoid robot dubbed Optimus, once fully completed, is expected to replace human hands not only in the factory floors but also at home. Yes, soon robots could be the ones cooking your favorite recipes, going shopping and much more, even without your commands. Yes, they will have access to your food stocks in the shelves, fridges, and stores and decide whether they need to add something. During the event, Tesla had a person attired like a robot doing the robotic circus on stage to help the audience visualize what they were making. And of course, the big audience that comprised fans, online influencers, experts, among others, were deeply impressed. And that is one goal for Tesla AI Day. Apart from displaying the amazing innovation, the AI Day was an opportunity to attract top AI specialists and joining the team of existing experts in driving the project to reality. This is critical because to develop a robot that can fully replace humans demands a high level of creativity and intelligence that can only be achieved by teaming the right minds. And that was not all that was launched during the Tesla AI Day. You know, before robots can go about doing anything independent of man, that means they need to have minds of their own to think and make decisions. Therefore, Tesla so unveiled on the same day an intricate supercomputer known as Dojo that will be used not only as to run Tesla's autopilot EVs but also the humanoid robot. Dojo computers are special types of supercomputers with even greater abilities. To better understand the role of the Dojo supercomputer, let's do a bit of explaining here. Your computer uses a CPU processor which enables you to perform simple tasks revolving around your day-to-day life. GPUs are similar to CPUs, except they are used primarily for processing the graphical information. They are also excellent at calculating AI. When your data becomes big, using GPU becomes slow and inefficient, and the only way to solve this problem is to distribute the data among several other computers to share the processing responsibility. Given this challenge, Tesla decided to develop Dojo computers that have a massive processing power. And so how will Dojo computers work in the humanoid robots? Pretty simple. Let's draw this analogy. Before children are able to perform home duties such as cleaning the house, going shopping, or just riding a bike, they first have to be taught, and by trials give themselves an experience of their own. That aside, suppose you own a Tesla and you have decided to drive around using the autopilot feature. All of the autopilot cameras and the sensors will be remitting data to the Tesla supercomputers, together with all similar data from Tesla cars across the world. The supercomputer will gain diverse experience on road maneuverability. The experience from individual Tesla cars are lessons to train the Tesla AI on what to do under what circumstances. These relationships between AI competence and data fed on it are linear. The more data you give it, the more intelligent it will be. A child cannot wake up one morning knowing how to ride a bike. It is through several trials and failures that they learn to master their mistakes and become more tactful. How better could we explain it? It suffices to say that data, and still more data, is what trains Tesla AI deep neural network and machine learning algorithms, making it not only faster and efficient, but also accurate and intelligent. With that said, Tesla AI Day 2 event came just the other day, September 30th in Palo Alto, California. Actually, the event could have been done in August, but was delayed to the end of September. Why? Elon Musk explained, "We may have an Optimus prototype by then," and on that breath came the event. Tesla CEO displayed two robots on stage that run on the same computing hardware of Tesla's fully autonomous EVs. One could not walk, but was wheeled in and out of the stage, and the other walked to the stage waving to the audience. With a height of about 5.3 feet, the robot weighs 161 pounds or 73 kilograms. It stood on the stage with slight bending knees, a common feature in many robots. To make it stand upright demands sophisticated balance mechanisms that are yet to be developed. The walking Optimus makes small steps, one just in front of the other, and could attain movement speeds of up to 5 miles per hour. Furthermore, the bots are powered by a 2.3 kilowatt-hour battery that enables them to perfectly perform a day's work. According to Elon Musk, the robot can consume about 100 watts of power and 500 watts when briskly walking. The robot's also displayed its ability to move all the fingers independently, and this is a crucial feature for the robots to have if they will indeed replace humans. As of flexibility, they can achieve 11-degree movement of the hands and 28 degrees for the body. In comparison to human pliability, it is evident that there is still a lot of room for improvement. In a video, Elon Musk further showed how the bot was able to carry cans of irrigating plants in the garden. As well as lifting objects from the ground, the Optimus was basically in its skeletal form with most wiring and green LED visible, as well as dual fans that cool its processors. How about the humanoid form that informed the choice? According to Tesla, a human-shaped robot will give it general acceptance in a human community than if it had any other form. After all, it is expected to work from home, caring for the elderly, interacting with children, and for these duties, you would not want a dinosaur-looking robot. Otherwise, the home would be inhospitable to the little ones. Can the humanoid robot turn violent? When we speak about this issue, you will quickly remember Elon Musk's passionate cautions of the dangers of AI, as well as the killer robot scenarios. Let's revisit his actual words. In response to Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook comments that his predictions of AI doomsday were rather irresponsible. Musk said that he had assessed and concluded that Zuckerberg's understanding of the matter was limited. He went on to say, "I have exposure to the very cutting edge of AI, and I think people should be really concerned about it. I keep sounding the alarm bell, but until people see robots going down the streets killing people, they don't know how to react because it seems so ethereal." According to Musk, unbridled AI could be even worse than nukes. His choice of words showed just how he believes the doomsday and the Terminator scenario could actually play out in the real world. Though his alarm bell may sound a little bit too ambitious, there's a valid point that the AI enthusiasts were passing across. In recent days, we have seen a surge in the cases of cyber crimes across the world. Just last year, some unknown hackers attacked the US pipeline system, a major pipe that moves oil from refineries to the industrial market, shutting it down for several days. It got so bad that President Biden had to declare a state of emergency. Similar attacks have been targeting healthcare systems and hospitals, but those were just disruptions of service delivery. What if the hackers soon discover ways of turning the computers against the people? Will that not stage one miniature of Terminator Doomsday? However, there is nothing to fear with the Optimus robots as far as Elon Musk is concerned. Not only because you can easily run away or overpower them in case they act crazy, but also they are fitted with cybersecurity features that will prevent any manipulation. He said, "We always want to be careful we don't go down the Terminator path." Nevertheless, there's still a lot to be done on the robot project before it becomes ready for production, and Tesla is not alone in this. Google and Amazon have been working on a similar project, Huawei, as well as among many others. But one challenge has persisted in all of this project. The intricacy of human beings is no easy thing to be replicated. Flexibility as well as independence in decision-making demands exceedingly extraordinary skills. This is what Jonathan Hurst, the Chief Technology Officer at Agility Robotics, said. There is much about what people can do dexterously that is very, very hard for robots. And that is not going to change whether the robot is a robot arm or whether it's in the shape of a humanoid. Will Elon Musk defy the odds? The CEO of Tesla seems very confident and believes that by 2027 production could be underway, and they're already looking into the future with robots. He said, "Future of abundance is a future where there is no poverty, where you can have whatever you want in terms of products and services. But Tesla has nothing to worry about. They already have an established company." Just recently, Tesla surpassed the $1 trillion market valuation to become the most expensive car maker in the world. Furthermore, they will leverage the existing resources already at work in the Tesla Autopilot to come up with a robot that will cost less than a Tesla car. That is the fully AI-performing robot that the world needs.
Obviously, Twitter or any forum is bound by the laws of the country that it operates in. I think we need to be very cautious about anything that is anti-meritocratic. and anything that is that results in the suppression of free speech. So obviously there are some limitations on free speech in the U.S. and of course Twitter would have to abide by those rules. This is what I think it's very important that we have that. Like some of the smartest people in history have thought about it and said, like, free speech is important for a healthy democracy. It is important, and free speech only matters. Those are two of the aspects of the woke mind virus that I think are very dangerous. Is that it's often anti-meritocratic. You can't question things. Even the questioning is bad. So, another way to almost synonymous would be cancel culture. And obviously people have tried to cancel you many times. Say, when does free speech matter most? It's when it's someone you don't like saying something you don't like. Yeah. That's when it actually matters. Obviously, and it's pretty annoying when someone you don't like says something you don't like.
There's hate speech, which some forms of hate speech are fine. I hate spinach.
I mean, if it's sauteed in a, cream sauce, it can be quite nice.
But the problem is, so let's say someone says, okay, here's one tweet: I hate politician X.
Yeah.
Next tweet is, I wish politician X wasn't alive, as some of us have said about Putin right now, for example. So that's legitimate speech. Another tweet is, I wish politician X wasn't alive, with a picture of their head with a gun sight over it. Or that plus their address. I mean, at some point, someone has to make a decision as to which of those is not okay. Can an algorithm do that? Or surely you need human judgment at some point?
No, I think like I said, in my view, Twitter should match the laws of the country, and really, that there's an obligation to do that. But going beyond that, and having it be unclear who's making what changes to where, having tweets sort of mysteriously be promoted and demoted with no insight into what's going on, having a black box algorithm promote some things and not other things. I think this can be quite dangerous.
So the idea of opening the algorithm is a huge deal, and I think many people would welcome that, of understanding exactly how it's making the decision
and critique it
and critique
like improve it. What I mean is like I think like the code should be on GitHub, So then and so people can look through it and say like, I see a problem here. I don't agree with this. They can highlight issues,
right.
Suggest changes in the same way that you sort of update Linux or Signal or something like that. Free speech is actually is extremely important, and it's bizarre that we've come to this point where, free speech used to be a left or liberal value, and yet we see from the in quotes left a desire to actually censor, and that seems crazy. I mean, I think we should be extremely concerned about anything that undermines the First Amendment. There's a reason for the First Amendment. The First Amendment is because people came from countries where they could not speak freely, and where saying certain things would get you thrown into prison. And they were like, well, we don't want that here. And by the way, in many parts of the world, including parts of the world that people might think are relatively similar to the United States, the speech laws are draconian.
England is quite different.
I won't name any countries, but...
England, why are we protecting them? They have no First Amendment. It's very easy to prove libel in England, whereas here it's almost...
I love England, but...
Yeah, I do too, but I wouldn't want to say the wrong thing. Or
yes,
you could be sued easier. There are laws in France. I think if you deny the Holocaust, which I think is abhorrent, but I also think it should be part of free speech.
Right.
You can be thrown into jail. Okay, so this...
I really can't emphasize this enough. We must We must protect free speech. And free speech only matters, it's only relevant when it's someone you don't like saying something you don't like, because obviously speech that you like is, that's easy. I think we would want to err on this. If in doubt, let the speech, let it exist. It would have, if it's a gray area, I would say let the tweet exist. But obviously, in a case where there's perhaps a lot of controversy, that you would not want to necessarily promote that tweet. So I'm not saying that I have all the answers here, but I do think that we want to be just very reluctant to delete things and have just be very cautious with permanent bans. Timeouts I think are better than sort of permanent bans, and but just in general, like I said. How it won't be perfect, but I think we wanted to really have, like I said, the perception and reality that speech is as free as reasonably possible, and a good sign as to whether there's free speech is someone you don't like allowed to say something you don't like, and if that is the case, then we have free speech, and it's damn annoying when someone you don't like says something you don't like. That is a sign of a healthy, functioning, free speech situation. So I was trying to figure out where it's coming from. I think it's actually been a long time brewing, in that I think it's been going on for a while. The amount of indoctrination that's happening in schools and universities is, I think, far beyond what parents realize. And I sort of came to realize this somewhat late. The experience that we had in high school and college is not the experience that kids today are having, and hasn't been for, I don't know, 10 years, maybe 20 years. So,
aren't parents themselves also a big part of the problem?
I suppose in some cases that parents, but I think like parents are just generally not aware of what their kids are being taught, or what they're not being taught.
They're letting the kids think that they're equal.
I mean, yeah. Let me give you an example that a friend of mine told me, which his daughters go to college go to high school in the Bay Area, and he was asking them, like, well, so who are the first few presidents of the United States? They could name Washington, and I said, well, what do you know about him? Well, he was a slave owner. What else?
Right. Exactly.
Nothing.
Right.
Like, okay, maybe you should know more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. That is the woke mind virus. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, slavery is obviously a horrific institution, but we should still know more about George Washington than that. I mean, it remains to be seen as to whether this was financially smart. Currently, it is not. We just revalued the company at less than half of the acquisition price.
Did you really?
Yes. No, my timing was terrible for when the offer was made, because it was right before advertising plummeted, and
you cut the high water mark, I noticed.
Yeah. So I must be a real genius here. My timing is amazing, since I had bought it for at least twice as much as it should have been bought for. But some things are priceless, and so whether I lose money or not, that is a secondary issue compared to ensuring the strength of democracy, and free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy.
Yes.
And the speech needs to be as transparent and truthful as possible. So we've got a huge push on Twitter to be as truthful as possible. We've got this community notes feature, which is great.
It is great.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I saw it this morning.
Yeah.
It was far more honest than the New York Times.
It's great.
Yeah.
We put a lot of effort to ensuring that community notes does not get gamed or have biases. It is simply cares about what is the most accurate thing. And sometimes truth can be a little bit elusive, but you can still aspire to get closer to it.
Yes.
And so, and I think the effect of community notes is more powerful than people may realize, because once people know that they could get noted, community noted on Twitter.
Is freedom for you the most important value of a society?
No, I think not being dead is. I mean,
what would that do with a society if everybody just cares about that?
No, I'm just saying there's a Maslow's hierarchy, of like,
okay.
These days back in the old days, I mean, a good year would be a year where not that many people died of hunger, plague, not that many people froze to death, not that many people were killed by the neighboring tribe. Back in the old days, that if it was like, hey, we only lost 5% last year, that was great. It's now those things are really, not concerns anywhere near they would like level of what they would be in the past.
What did COVID do to the freedom in our society?
Well, I think freedom was severely restricted with COVID.
Do you think it's a long-term effect, or do you think we are going back to old norms?
Well, the jury's out on that front.
Are you worried?
Yeah, I think I think we should roll back government power that was massively increased in the COVID times. I think we're at this point, the tail end of it, or it's no longer a major concern, and so we need to actively roll back the powers of government that were created during COVID.
You once said on Mars, if there's human life, there should be direct democracy.
Yes, I think direct democracy is less susceptible to corruption than representative democracy. I mean, the other recommendations that I'd say any laws need to be short enough that everyone can read them as well. And there should be some, it should be easier to get rid of a law than make one.
So because, you and people like you do interact on Twitter, it's obviously enormously powerful in shaping public opinion. It's where a lot of ideas and trends are incubated.
Yeah.
That's why you bought it. It's also a magnet for intel agencies from around the world. And one of the things we learned after you started opening the books is that they were exerting influence from within Twitter.
I mean, it was absurd.
Did you know that going in?
No. Since I've been a heavy Twitter user since 2009, it's sort of like I'm in the matrix. I mean, I can see do things feel right? Do they not feel right? What tweets am I being shown as recommended? I get a feel what accounts are making comments, where are the comments eerily similar?
Yeah.
And then you look at the account and it's just obviously a fake photo, and it's just obviously a bot cluster. Over and over again. So I started to get just more and more uneasy about the Twitter situation. I was starting to feel like something's wrong in the state of Denmark here. Something feels wrong about the platform. It seemed to be just drifting in a. I couldn't place it exactly. Just it felt like it was drifting in a bad direction. So then I was like, and my conversations with the board and management seemed to confirm my intuition about that. But basically, I was convinced these guys do not care about fixing Twitter, and I had a bad feeling about where it was headed based on the conversations I had with them. So then I was like, you know what, I'll try acquiring it and see if acquiring it is possible.
I think that the biggest problem the world will face in 20 years is population collapse. I think we need to watch out about population collapse. This is somewhat counterintuitive to most people.
I can't emphasize this enough. There are not enough people. And I think one of the biggest risks to civilization is the low birth rate and the rapidly declining birth rate. It is, and yet so many people, including smart people, think that there are too many people in the world and think that the population is growing out of control. It's completely the opposite. Please look at the numbers. If people don't have more children, civilization is going to crumble.
And the facts are out there for anyone to look at. But a lot of people are still stuck with, Paul Ehrlich's book, Population Bomb. And it's like, that was a long time ago. That is not the case today. And there was a massive notch in demographics last year because the birth rate plummeted, and also this year.
There's something better happen to turn this around, because otherwise, you have an inverted demographic pyramid, and it's going to. At this rate, the only thing that'll be left will be robots. 3 generations of 50% birth rate, 50% replacement rate, gets you to 12% of where you were. And those poor 12%, all they're going to be doing is taking care of their grandparents. I mean, eventually there just won't be people. I mean, you're cruising, but it's just like the average age just starts drifting up, and then, basically civilization will die with a whimper in adult diapers. Kind of sucks, doesn't it? It's like anticlimactic, it's not exactly. I mean, frankly, if you say, given the choice, like, I'd rather civilization went out with a bang than a whimper in adult diapers.
Yeah. What's a bang?
Bang would be World War III. Okay. It is a prevalent mind virus, and arguably one of the biggest threats to modern civilization.
Also, not having enough kids, right?
Yeah, I think most people, if you just simply look at the birth rate statistics, you can tell what the future is going to be like because you can see how many children were born last year, and then you can say, like, is the birth rate trending down or up? And it's been trending down basically almost everywhere. So if you look at the birth rate last year, you know how many adults there will be in 20 years because that's how many babies were born. The trend is like you don't have to be some master or statistician or something like that. You can just look at kids born last year trending to well below replacement rate, and a lot of countries have been well below replacement rate for a long time.
Well, the concern is that if you have kids, then they'll contribute to climate change, and then they'll kill the Earth, right? That's the leftist concern, is that we're overpopulating the Earth and that we're going to kill it. Are you trying to overpopulate the Earth so that we can go to Mars and take over Mars?
The Earth is far from overpopulated.
Is this a deliberate strategy?
The Earth is far from overpopulated. Far from overpopulated. I'd say the biggest threat right now is population collapse. The super low birth rate.
Really?
Yeah.
Over like nuclear war, natural disaster.
Don't we have an overpopulation problem?
No, we have an underpopulation problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
So this is the most commonly misunderstood situation.
Yeah, they definitely push that we have an overpopulation.
Yeah, why is that?
No, I don't know. It's just like, I think it's like, this is a holdover from like, I don't know, the 70s or something, So there was a huge baby boom, like where people did have a ton of kids after World War II. But then the U.S. has actually the birth rate in the U.S. has been below replacement rate since like 71 or 72.
In the U.S.,
like 50 years.
How about
50 years,
other
the U.S. has
countries,
been below replacement rate.
I know U.S., but how about other countries?
Well, like China's got a huge population collapse problem.
Really?
Yeah.
China, you actually get penalized if you have more than one kid.
No,
are you being serious?
No,
they cut that off.
No, see, this is like, so part of it is just like we're operating on things that were true in the past but are no longer true. So China did have a one-child policy, but like about 10 years ago, they changed it to a two-child policy. And then a few years ago, they changed it to a three-child policy, and birth rate kept plummeting the whole time. I'm worried about the birth rate, which you alluded to earlier. The contrary to, like most people think we have like too many people on the planet, but actually this is an outdated view. This is assuming that AI is fine, assuming that there's a benevolent future with AI. I think that the biggest problem the world will face in 20 years is population collapse. Collapse.
I agree.
I want to emphasize this. The biggest issue in 20 years will be population collapse. Not explosion, collapse. It's very easy to see what the world will look like in 20 years because humans have a 20-year boot sequence. So like you say, okay, well, who was born last year? Okay, now you know what the world looked like in 20 years. It's that easy. Yeah, so most people in the world are operating under the false impression that there are too many people. This is not true. Earth could maintain a population many times the current level. And the birth rate has been dropping like crazy. And unfortunately, like we have these like ridiculous population estimates from the UN that need to be updated because they just don't make any sense. Really, you can just look at, say, what was the birth rate last year, how many kids were born, multiply that by the life expectancy, and say, okay, that's how many people will be alive, in the future. And then say, is the trend for birth rate positive or negative? It's negative. So that's the best case, unless something changes with the birth rate. I mean, you can look at, take Japan, for example. I think, I'm just going off memory here, but I think the population is roughly 110 million. But last year, if you take the number of children born times the life expectancy, which is 85 years, it's very impressive life expectancy, then Japan would have, I think, around 68 million people, roughly half of the current population. That does not tell the full story because you would have an upside-down demographic pyramid. You already have an upside-down demographic pyramid where, a lot of old people, very few young people. Generally, low birth rates almost worldwide. Civilization is not headed to have a population that is an order of magnitude greater than where we're currently. We're currently headed towards a population decline. And this is almost everywhere in the world. It basically seems as though as soon as you have like urbanization and education beyond a certain level and income beyond a certain level, birth rates plummet. And so as countries get wealthier, their birth rates plummet. It's somewhat counterintuitive because people will say like, well, it's too expensive to have a baby. Nope, the wealthier you are, the fewer kids you have. The more educated you are, the fewer kids you have. So it's the inverse. So I'm not sure who to use all that energy unless there's a significant change in the birth rate. Or we have a very robot-oriented economy. So that's also possible. So if we've got a lot of, four-wheeled robots in form of cars and androids, so humanoid robots, then you can certainly see that there'd be perhaps a need for an order of magnitude more energy. But it's not coming from the humans unless something major changes on the human birth rate level. This, by the way, is, I think, the biggest single threat to civilization. Earth is going to face a massive population collapse over the next 20, 30 years. Massive. Yeah. And this is definitely, will civilization, the question of like, is civilization going to die with a bang or a whimper? This would definitely be dying with a whimper.
Yeah, we need.
The birth rate is very low.
Yeah, it's been dropping, right? It used to be 5, 6 children per family. Globally, it's like 2.4. In the U.S., it's below replacement levels. In most of Europe, Russia, Japan, Korea, Singapore, it's well below replacement. But I would still say, when we spoke last about this, you're still a sort of abundance optimist that the world is getting better on many levels.
Yeah, I think the world is generally getting better. I have some concerns about advanced AI, like that's a risk. If I say like existential risks, I'd say super advanced AI is one. Mm-hmm. And probably the second biggest risk after that is population collapse.
Not asteroid impact?
No. The population collapse, the thing about demographics and birth rate is you know what's going to happen in 20 years because you know the birth rate last year. Yeah. It takes like 20 years for a person to grow up.
Yeah.
So we know what the adult population is going to be 20 years from now because we know what kids were born last year. I think we have a serious issue with population collapse. That's far bigger than people realize. And you know, this the social networks and everything. The social support networks were not really set up for a high ratio of retirees to workers. So then.
Well, thank God we got robots coming in.
Yeah, the robots, exactly. We'll need those robots, but you don't want to have the youth effectively enslaved to take care of the elderly. You know, which is what would kind of happen if you have an upside down demographic pyramid.
I don't know what quite that risk is, but it's not zero. I think there's maybe some counterintuitive risks or that people don't put that much attention on. If you look at the birth rate trends, the birth rate trends are very negative, and in many countries are seeing population decline with no end in sight. So I think there's, I think the very low birth rate I think is actually quite a significant risk, but an underappreciated one. And for population prediction, I would recommend taking things like the number of babies born last year and just multiplying that by the probable lifespan. And if you do that, I think you'll see numbers that are very, very bad for future population, and with an inverted demographic pyramid. So you've got a lot more older people, and then fewer middle-aged people, and then eventually just very few youngsters. And this will necessarily lead to resources being applied to taking care of the elderly instead of advancing science or advancing civilization. I'm quite worried about that one because I see no reversal of the trend. That would, civilization will die with a bang or a whimper. That would be dying with a whimper.
I think we need to watch out about population collapse. This is somewhat counterintuitive to most people. They think that, well, there's so many humans, maybe too many humans, but that's just because they live in a city. If you're in an aircraft and you look down, they say, if you dropped a cannonball, how often would you hit a person? Basically never. In fact, there's stuff falling in from space all the time. Natural meteorites, old rocket stages, all the time. But nobody worries about it because the actual, in fact, there's a good cool website called Wait But Why, and this guy Tim Urban, like, he actually just did the math, and all humans on Earth could fit in the city of New York on one floor. Don't even need the upper floors. So that's actually the cross section of humans as seen from Earth is extremely tiny, basically vanishingly small, almost nothing. So we need to watch out about population collapse. Low birth rate, I think, is a big risk. And it's also not exactly top secret. You can go look at the Wikipedia, birth rate. So, and this is actually this is definitely the civilization ends with a whimper, not a bang, because it would be a sad ending, where the average age becomes very high, and really the youth are effectively de facto enslaved to take care of the old people. Like, the thing that tends to happen is, like, once the birth rate starts going down, it seems to accelerate in a downward trajectory. Mm-hmm. Like, Japan is a leading indicator here. It's insane.
They're about to collapse.
No,
population collapse.
Nutty. They lost 600,000 people last year. Like, negative 600,000 last year. And Japan is, like, pretty close to being the most, like, their life expectancy is like 85. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's the only thing, that was what was keeping the population plummeting before. But now, despite having, like, the world's longest lifespan, they're still losing population.
It seems to me the rate of that decline is such one that's going to be not really able to be turned around. We kind of got to plan for what we do in spite of it happening. Yeah, like.
Well, if that trend continues, Japan's just going to flat out disappear, as will most countries in the world. So it's not like
I'm just saying, if that trend continues, hopefully it doesn't.